evening and welcome to Montage of Singapore. I am Mehak with you, and it's my absolute pleasure to welcome all of you on this show one more time this evening. Well, this is a very special show if you're tuning in for the first time. Let me tell you that this show is especially curated by Masti Media Network and supported by National Integration Council, and TV partner is Colors TV Asia Pac. So, one more time, a warm welcome to all of you. And some of you might have just joined today. I want to just make it very clear to you that I don't want to be the only one talking on the show. Of course, I have a guest, but I also want absolute great participation from the viewers, from audience. So if you're watching us, I would really want you to let us know if you have any questions, comments, or you want to just say hello to us. It'll be really, really nice. Okay, so now that I have set it very straight for all of us, let me begin the show. And in this show this evening, my guest is very, very interesting. This person is a third generation Singaporean, has been living here for almost like so many decades. And she believes in feeding people some really nice food. And we'll talk more about that. But before that, you know what? Let's have a look at the highlights of the last episode right here on Montage of Singapore. Well, it's 6 p.m. and I, Mehak, welcome all of you to this beautiful show called Montage of Singapore. Today's edition, we have somebody very special who's representing a very special community here.
Three main areas: community, nationally, so back to the society beyond the Sikh community, but also to people who are on the fringes of society who may need an extra helping hand. A local Singlish phrase that comes to mind and that I tend to use quite often is the word power. Right? Now, say in a local way, it says power, And to me, Singapore is power. I would miss the people the most of the community. And what I would miss the least, I would say, judging from today, the heat, the weather for sure. Yeah. I would say there are a lot of opportunities, where minorities in Singapore, their rights and their positions are enshrined within the policy and legal frameworks in Singapore. So that, even though we're a small community, we're a minority within a minority, I like to say, but our views are often heard. Even for the smallest of policy changes, our views are heard.
Oh, that's good to know.
Yeah. Singapore's one of the best places in the world to be a minority. Good job in getting this show done as well. As I would say, great work to Masti Media Network and as well as National Integration Council. And I think this is a fantastic framework, fantastic formula to get something like that. And to talk about something that's so sensitive in a very casual manner.
Sure. Well, she's a Singaporean lady, very famous name in the culinary scene in Singapore. In fact, her restaurant that she's involved in is one of my favorite Indian restaurants in Singapore. And I would say that many Indian mothers have her recipe books in their library for sure.
So this is Mehak saying goodbye. See you. Well, I hope that you enjoyed those highlights right here. And in this edition of Montage of Singapore, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to tell you that who this person is, but not really who she is, because I want her to come back and talk to you about herself. And that is the flavor we want to bring out. We want to tell stories through people, through their own eyes, through their own lives, and in an interesting manner. I have this entire database here with me, which is filled with notes on my tonight's guest, but let me give you some clues about her. You must have been to her restaurant. She is a very proud owner of this very famous restaurant, which is in Singapore, and that is located at Raffles City Centre, shopping center. And when I came to Singapore about 13, 14 years back, and I asked somebody, I wanted to go to a restaurant and eat authentic Indian food. And they said, oh, you should go to Shahi Maharani. And I was like, okay. And I went there. And wow, their buffet line that I enjoyed in the afternoon lunch was absolutely amazing. One of the best Indian foods that I've ever tasted in Singapore. And I became a fan. Well, if you've not guessed it, let me tell you who the guest is and get her in the spotlight on Montage of Singapore. Welcome back. And here we have our guest for the evening in the spotlight, Chitra Mirpuri. A very warm welcome to you.
Hi, Mehak.
I could see you smiling so nicely when I was narrating that story about, eating at Shahi Maharani for the first time. Yeah. So thank you for feeding us some great food, and we love the jalebis there
Anytime.
and the naans
Anytime.
and so much more. But interestingly, you are here on the show today, and I wanted to ask you that it is it is okay that people know you as the proud owner of Shahi Maharani, who's running it so passionately, taking care of people, feeding so many people from different ethnicities. But you, as a person, you've been in Singapore for so long. I hope you did not mind when I said that you've been here for many decades, because people might have thought like some 80-year-old.
Yeah, even I was wondering, am I that old?
Yeah. So you've been here like for a very long time. So what's your Singapore story? If I want you to introduce yourself to the audience, how would you do that?
So, well, I'm a proud Singaporean Sindhi. My paternal grandparents actually came from Sindh, well, actually at that time, India. This was during the partition. They migrated to Singapore. And my mom, in fact, her parents moved pre-partition, actually, India to Sri Lanka. So my parents actually got married in Bombay. They met in Pune.
Wow.
So it's an arranged marriage, actually. And my mom obviously moved here, and obviously we were born. We grew up here as well. So went to school here. We obviously both me and my sister, we had, we've got friends through the communities as well. And some of my best friends are actually, non-Sindhis. So, Chinese, Malay, Tamil. So it's like I've got, many different friends of different ethnicities. So the influences that I've had in my life actually is a little bit like Rojak. You know what Rojak, mix of, yeah. So, there is obviously a little bit of the Sri Lankan connection, the Indian connection, the Sindhi connection, Singaporean. As you know, Singaporeans are a little bit of this and a little bit of that. So it's a hodgepodge of different influences as well. So yeah, so I'm a little bit of that. And I'm married to a Kashmiri.
Oh.
So that's made it a little bit more complicated. So my kids generally ask me, so what are we? Are we Kashmiri? Are we Sindhi? Do we have a little bit of a Sri Lankan background? But my mom's Sindhi, but still, right? So because we've got family back in Sri Lanka as well. So like they are confused as well a little bit. So as I said, it's like there's a little bit of Rojak. And actually, so growing up, I actually took Malay as my second language.
What are you saying?
Yeah, so I'm pretty fluent in Malay. I can read and write, and even I understand Mandarin. I used to watch Mandarin drama serials growing up.
How talented!
Because I mean, at that time, the English programs on TV, it was very limited.
Limited, yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. That's
so.
So
a lot of the
whatever was there on the TV and pick up the language.
Precisely.
And so you learned the language because you had friends from those communities, or you knew the language so you could make more friends?
So, I mean, when you watch TV in general, you sort of pick up the language. And when you're studying in Singapore, growing up here, obviously, you hear your friends as well. So I can understand more than I can speak, actually. But yeah, I mean, it's quite normal, actually. If you've grown up in Singapore, you would understand some amount of Mandarin for sure.
And that gives me some food for thought here for the audience. I am totally very excited to ask our audience this question, that so if you're watching this show right now, I want to know from you. So you've heard Chitra's story. What's her Singapore story, right? I mean, how they came here, the parents, grandparents came here, got married. Now there is a Rojak in the family. She has become like a mix of so many things. So I want to know from you. Do you have a story like that? Do you connect with it? Do you relate with it? If yes, do send us a message right now, because we want to hear what you have to say about this. And we will be going to a very special place in this show right now, where we will talk about the joys of Singapore. So stay here. We'll be coming back with some real joys of Singapore here.
You will feel absolutely royal in the royal setting of Shahi Maharani North Indian Restaurant. Captivating interiors, delectable array of veg and non-veg food with authentic Indian flavors and quality service, all delivered under one roof, and will definitely leave you with a royal feel. That too at affordable prices. Go for the one-for-one lunch buffet to get the Shahi feel on weekdays. Shahi Maharani, Level 3, Raffle City Shopping Centre. For reservations, call 6235-8840 or log on to www.shahimaharani.com.
All right, welcome back to Montage of Singapore, everyone. I am Mehak with you, and here I have a very special guest in the studios, Chitra Mirpuri. So a very warm welcome to you one more time.
Thank you.
You know, I said this is going to be a complete joy when we come to this particular segment in the
Right.
show. You know what? I have some questions here,
Sure.
which I'm going to ask you. And of course, I'll be asking a few questions to the audience as well. So everyone who's watching the show right now, pay attention because it's going to be your turn very soon. Okay. So you're a Singaporean. You've been here forever, like not the many decades, but a few decades.
Enough. Yes.
Enough. Okay. So I'm going to ask you this. And I know the answer to it already, but because the audience doesn't know, so I have to, kind of pretend that I don't know. So I'm asking one more time to you. But I've seen you do that, okay? I know that you have your favorite phrases in Singlish, and I know that you really speak it very well. So I'm going to ask you this question. Do you have a favorite word, phrase in Singlish or in any other language, dialect spoken in Singapore?
Well, to be fair, actually, to be honest, actually, I'm I don't really speak in Singlish
I am not
that
going
often.
to buy
No,
that.
it is true.
Really?
I mean, growing up, actually, my mom was always quite particular about us, in terms of the way we speak. So, I mean, but it does come out a little naturally sometimes, if you're with your friends and some words do sort of creep in. But like obviously ayo, aya, two of those that come out
Okay,
quite
let's
naturally.
pause here.
Yeah.
I want you to say this in Singlish.
What I just said.
Anything, yeah, from here onwards, next 1 minute.
Oh my goodness. You're putting me in a spot. Oh my goodness. Like I said, it doesn't come as naturally as you think it does, but you're not, a cab driver. So
Imagine I am driving the cab for Chitra Mirpuri right here on Montage of Singapore. And ladies and gentlemen, so I can't speak Singlish, but I'll try. Where you want to go?
Ayo, uncle, why you turn right? You're supposed to turn left.
Okay.
I tried.
Not bad. That was a well tried, effort, I would say.
Okay.
Well
But
done.
actually, I mean, I like to, everyone's used to ayo and aya or alamak, so these are the few words that I used quite often. But, there are so many other Singlish terms, and two that I really like and that I do sometimes use is chop chop. So chop chop
Oh,
means
yes.
hurry up.
Yeah.
Okay. And the other one is don't be such a yaya papaya. So that is, have you heard of yaya?
Yes.
Okay, so yaya papaya is basically someone who's quite a bit of a show off. So yeah, so I mean, in our everyday lingo with our friends, that is something sometimes that we use. Yeah.
Interestingly, today I was talking to a colleague of mine, and she's a Singaporean, and she was just telling someone that, this is what we do, and that person is not very good with you because you're not friends with her. She does halala with me every day. So I'm like, what is halala? And then she's like,
Okay.
oh, that means she's quite pally with me. We're at a different rapport and stuff
No,
like
I've not
that.
heard of that one. Yeah.
Maybe I'm saying it wrong.
I don't know.
Okay, why don't you guys tell us? You're watching us, so you can tell us if it is correct or not. And okay, moving on to the next question. This question we ask all our guests who come on the show. Okay, and I'm sure you're not going to do that. You're not going to leave Singapore. But just hypothetically speaking, if you left Singapore, what would you miss the most, and what would you miss the least?
So, well, I mean, obviously, my family's here, my friends are here, the food is so good. I mean, so these are the obviously, the few things that I would definitely miss. But I mean, just imagine, right? So if you're out of Singapore and you sort of meet another family and they're speaking, and then you hear the accent, and you're like, oh my god, they're Singaporeans, so our accent is so different, and you can tell us a mile away, right? So that is something, actually, I mean, it sort of it brings a smile to your face when you hear that accent when you're traveling and when you're out of Singapore. So that is another thing that I guess I would miss as well. So it sort of brings a smile to your face when you hear that accent. Ah, they're from Singapore.
Home.
Yes, that's home. Exactly. Yes.
Yeah. And what is the thing that you would miss the least?
Well, actually, there's a lot that I love about Singapore. So it's not like I would there's anything really. But I mean, having kids, and with my younger one actually, who's probably going to go through it. Yeah, who is going to go through it next year. So PSLE.
Oh.
Yeah. So that's one thing I guess, we could sort of maybe do without in a way. I mean, yeah, I think there's just a lot of pressure on the kids actually at such a young age. So yeah.
That gets me thinking. Okay. So she's going to go through PSLE next year.
That's right. Yeah.
So you're preparing her well?
So with the older one, I was a little bit more of a tiger mom. I think with the younger one, I've sort of just, it's okay, just let it go.
Are you a kiasu parent?
Well, I think with my older child, I was. I'm trying not to be with the younger one. So yeah, let's see if that works.
all the best for that.
Thank you.
And coming back to the audience, right? Yeah, as I said that, you have to not feel hesitant if you want to send across a message. And the good thing is people are actually sending in messages right now. And I have an audience question. If it's okay with you, can I take one?
Okay.
Okay. So I have a person who is asking us here this evening that, hi Chitra, thank you for Shahi Maharani. See, we share the same sentiments. Is your relationship with friends from different communities same as friends from your own community?
Sorry, I didn't really get that.
The kind of relationship you would have with your own community friends versus the relationship you'll have with other community friends.
I mean, so, well, unfortunately, growing up, so we stayed, a little bit away from the Sindhi club. So, we stayed in the north part of Singapore. So I didn't interact as much as I should have with the Sindhi community, but there are one or two Sindhis that I am pretty close to. But my best friends are actually,
non-Sindhis?
Yeah, non-Sindhis actually, yeah.
Oh, yeah. And Sindhi in itself is a minority community in Singapore. It's
correct.
One of very small.
Yes.
Do you know how many Sindhis would be there in Singapore? Any idea on
Oh
stats?
my goodness, I need to go look at the Sindhi directory or something. but a few thousands actually, yeah.
It is a minority community.
Yeah.
And the way I think Singapore allows you to kind of mix with other communities.
Completely.
Is
and
totally
I mean, even with, I think they also celebrate, and I think it's more apparent now that they celebrate even the smaller communities. So, that recognition is there, thankfully, so much more now than in the past, actually. So, yeah.
Correct. So I completely agree with you, and we do enjoy so many, different festivals and celebrations together, which is amazing. What I'm going to do now is that I'm going to move to the question that usually we have for our audience on the show. So there is one question we have for the people who are watching the show at this point of time. I'm going to ask you this question, and let me have the question on screen for you. All right, so I have the question for you. Ta-da! The question for the audience this evening is, which part of the Singapore flag symbolizes universal brotherhood and equality of man? Option A, crescent moon. Option B, white part. Option C, red part. Yeah, or option D, 5 stars. You got to tell me what is the correct answer. And you know what? We have this very special arrangement for people who are answering all the questions on all the episodes. That if you answer in all our episodes, the questions that we are asking you this evening on different shows, then you might get a chance to come here on the show and we'll be talking to you. Okay, so keep those answers coming. If you want to see in the previous episodes what are the questions that we have asked, then you can just go to our Instagram handle, which is Montage of Singapore. Go there, you'll get all the questions. You can answer it there. And then, well, I'll see you in the studios perhaps. Isn't that amazing? It is. Moving on. Masti Media Network's very special show called Montage of Singapore. I'm going to take a very short break and come back and ask Chitra, who's our guest this evening, some really interesting questions.
Available anywhere across the world with the app Radio Masti 24/7. The 24-hour station offers a vast variety of programs filled with local, global and Indian content along with Bollywood gossip and updates. Make sure you add Masti to your lives. Download the app today and stay energized and connected on the go. Radio Masti 24/7 Live, Singapore's only Bollywood radio since 2009.
Welcome back to Montage of Singapore. I'm Mehak with you. And this is a show which has been specially curated by Masti Media Network and is supported by National Integration Council, TV partners, Colors TV Asia Pac. And we are totally thrilled to have this very special guest in the studios. We have Chitra from Shahi Maharani, who has been a Singaporean all her life, right? And she has her children also. And one fun fact I'm going to ask you maybe if I have time later.
Okay. Okay.
Chitra's like, how many questions will she ask me? But I hope you're comfortable.
Thank you very much. Yes.
Okay, so you are a champion in your own way, the way you've been, doing so much work for the community in one way or the other. Maybe it is time that you share with us so we can, also see how you can inspire others through, this opportunity. And you do some community work. So maybe it is time that you share about it and also how you are also passing that on to your next generation or preparing them.
Okay, so I mean, from young itself, we were always told that, charity always begins at home. So you need to look after those that are close to you. And, so one such instance was actually, I wouldn't say this is charity work as such, but this is something that, it's something that should be within everyone actually, and which is what I try and, tell my kids as well. So we were going through a pretty tough time during COVID. Business was really down, to its bare minimum. And so obviously we have, our staff in the restaurant. And, for me, I did not want to let go of anyone at all. So during that time, I mean, thankfully the government helped us a little bit, with aid. But, we pumped in more money into the business just so that, we could keep, all our staff, with us, and we did not let go of anyone. And it's so important because they too have families, and and if they are fine, the families will be fine as well. So yeah, so that was something that we made sure we did during that time. And again, it's not something one would actually talk about, and that's what doing this kind of it's not again, as I said, it's not community work. It's just something that should again come from within.
Correct.
Yeah.
I think that's a wonderful step towards, humanity. I think this is more of
exactly,
being human, and that's something that all of us could look into. And it begins at home, which is so wonderful. You have people who might be also working in your kitchens from different communities, right?
Exactly.
Because your chef might be from
India,
some nationality, and then
that's right,
the cleaners would be there.
Yes.
And,
so we've got two pretty old aunties. So they are Malays, and they're pretty old as well. And it was it was so important for me to make sure that, you know, she still has a job, you know, through that period. She couldn't come to work through that period, but you know, she's pretty old. She's 70 odd years old, and you know, we tell her, why don't you, you know, kind of take a break and all that. But no, I think for her, work is so important. I mean, we obviously lighten the duties for her and all that, but you know, it's I and they feel empowered as well, you know, when they are working. So that's really important. So we're okay with that, and you know, and she's happy, so that's good.
That's true. So wonderful. So congratulations on that.
Thank you.
Well done. And I would like to know from you, what are your thoughts on racial harmony, perhaps, in Singapore? Do you think it is the initiatives? Of course, there are so many initiatives that are here in Singapore. Do you think they're enough, especially when we have immigrants, we have new people who come to Singapore? For those people, what are your thoughts about that?
Right. Well, okay. So again, this whole concept of racial integration, I mean, the campaigns behind it, the initiatives, you know, there are lots happening in Singapore. But, you know, I think, you know, it should sort of be, you know, natural, you know, to people to sort of, you know, welcome people into Singapore. And it's sort of a two-sided affair. So not only should we welcome them, but they themselves should also sort of try and blend in. So it's sort of a, like, you know, it's
Give and take.
correct, both sides in a way. I mean, a lot has been done in Singapore, and especially, you know, during festivals. You know, I stay in the east where we live. You know, the whole place is lit up for, you know, the different festivals. So the MPs actually within the constituencies are actually doing stuff to sort of bring the different communities together, which is really, really good. But again, campaigns and stuff in a way shouldn't be forced. I think, again, it should sort of come naturally. So, you know, you have your neighbors, you know, you can go, you know, they could be from a totally different country, community, and, you know, you can actually, you know, give them sweets during Diwali. You know, they're tasting, like, I'm from India, so, you know, they can taste our Indian sweets. It's a food is the best way to actually break the ice, actually. So yeah, you know, invite them over for dinner, you know, things like that. So, I mean, we can't just wait, you know, and, you know,
wait for things to happen.
Exactly. Yeah. So you need to be a little, you know, sort of proactive to sort of welcome people into our community in Singapore. Yeah.
Very, very interesting way. I think food is something which I totally love, and of course you love. And people say that a way to a man's heart is through his stomach.
Exactly.
And so, yeah, I think I'm going to try that. I have an Indonesian neighbor, I have a Pakistani neighbor, and I have an Indian neighbor. So I'm going to go and self-invite myself over to their place so I can have biryani and some good Indonesian food as well. So thank you for the tip.
Yeah, I mean, it's really important. I mean, you start from where you live, right? So, you know, your neighbors, and yeah.
So charity begins at home, or maybe community work also begins at home, is what I can say. And right here on Montage of Singapore, you've heard us talking, you've heard Chitra talking. What are your thoughts about it? How do you think that you can bring in, you know, more racial harmony, reach out to more people, make it a better place, or perhaps a more joyful place, though it is already, but still, what are your thoughts? We would love to hear from you. So you can write into us at our email. And you can also write here while watching this show under the comment section. I'm going to take a very small break here, come back, and I have something very special for you, Chitra.
You will feel absolutely royal in the royal setting of Shahi Maharani North Indian Restaurant. Captivating interiors, delectable array of veg and non-veg food with authentic Indian flavors and quality service, all delivered under one roof, and will definitely leave you with a royal feel. That too at affordable prices. Go for the one-for-one lunch buffet to get the Shahi feel on weekdays. Shahi Maharani, Level 3, Raffles City Shopping Centre. For reservations, call 6235-8840 or log on to www.shahimaharani.com.
All right, so I have something very, very special for you here, Chitra. Have a look at this. This is a Singapore beautiful skyline that you can see. It's a gift for you. And let me tell you, it is a very special edition. There are only 13 of this kind here. And one of them is for you. It has been clicked by 9 Studio. So thank you so much for being on the show here.
It's been wonderful.
So you can have a look at it. And also just a fun fact that a colored version of it is behind you right here as our backdrop this evening. And I can see that our viewers are actually sending some messages for you. So let me just open that up and see. What are they saying? Oh my God, Zoe is saying the lady in black is the coolest Indian. Love Chitra Mirpuri. Wow. We've got some fan following right here.
Yeah, I'm all embarrassed.
Well, that is one thing we all need to learn, to take compliments. So you are fabulous, and I totally loved having you on the show.
Same here.
And before I bid goodbye, I want you to tease or tell people about the next guest who's going to be here on Montage of Singapore.
Okay. So she's someone who empowers women and sort of encourages women entrepreneurship. Yeah, I mean, she's a great leader as well. So I think it's really brilliant what she's done, actually.
So yes, we're going to meet her in the next episode on Sunday evening at 6 p.m. I'm not going to give out the name, but I'll see all of you there and bring in your friends and families as well. It's time that I say a big thank you to you, Chitra, for joining us on the show.
Thank you so much for having me. Thank you, Masti Network and the National Integration Council as well. And Sony, it's been wonderful. Thank you.
All right. Thank you so much, Chitra. By the way, I would like to tell all of you that it has been a great evening. I enjoyed talking to Chitra the moment I looked at her. And you know what? Let me tell you, she also brought in some gulab jamuns, which are Indian sweets, really nice Indian sweets dipped in syrup, which I'm going to eat after the show. And we look forward to hearing from you guys. How did you like it? Anything you want to add to the stories that you have of Singapore when you came here? How did you feel? What did you learn? What kind of friends you made? All of that. Just feel free to share with us. We'll be very, very glad to listen to all your stories. With that, it is time that I take your leave, and I'll see you on Sunday evening. This show is a special show, which is called Montage of Singapore, presented by Masti Media Network, supported by National Integration Council, and TV partners is Colors TV Asia Pacific. So with that, I'm going to take your leave. Till we meet again, this is Mehak signing off.